Okay. Oh, it says it's live now.
That's
So
how those guys operate. Yes. Hey, it's Adam Post. Really excited to be with all you guys tonight. Tonight, I'm with the creative crew for Doomsday Kingdom comic, Volume 1, The Feeding Post. Not the Adam Post, The Feeding Post. So obviously we're related somehow, but you'll find out how later. So guys, I was excited to meet these guys. I was actually introduced to them by somebody on Twitter who's got a really cool handle, ComicsGate World Order or something like that. Look kind of like a new handle, but he's like, hey, you guys should connect or whatever, because he's very familiar with their YouTube channel. And Ronnie, your YouTube channel, what's the name of that again?
Make a Path presents.
Make a Path presents, which has got a heck of a lot of subs on it. And you guys do on that YouTube channel. I saw you're doing reviews of Walking Dead.
Yep.
What else kind of stuff do you do?
Well, we have the main series right now. It's kind of new. We're in transitioning to it's called Movie Flaws and Awes. It's kind of picking out a fun way to pick out stuff that we like in movies and stuff we don't like, and then we give the movies a score at the end of each. Yeah, at the end of each movie flaw and awe review, all the movies are shown with their individual scores on like a shelf. Kind of like a neat little gimmick to have like a self-grading system, but a lot of different pop culture stuff in the past. Like if anything came up, I would discuss it, but I'm kind of in the middle of splitting it. So we have my Ronnie Hayes personal channel, and then on Make a Path Presents, we're moving forward with more polished content like the Flaw and All reviews.
Very interesting. Well, guys, we need to spend a little more time checking out their channel. We don't know them very well yet. So we got to get to know these guys. They're comics guys. They're creative guys. They're YouTube guys. It's exactly the kind of people we need to know. I want to just say hi to everybody in the chat first. Regard and appreciate you guys. Acknowledge you. David N. was the first here. Great to see you. Hail ComicsGate. Hail Ronnie Hayes. Well said. Hex Harper. I remember the day Hex Harper and I met. It was beautiful. Aaron P. Yeah. Wow. That's an interesting picture. Aaron P. Can viewers ask questions? You just asked the question. So your answer is yes. Will you get an answer? Yes.
Excuse me, Adam. Aaron. Aaron, behave yourself. That's all I want to say.
All right, Aaron, you know who you are then. You know who you are. Troublemaker from way back. Everything is obviously going absolutely fantastic. Hey, guys, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I'm at like 949 or something subs. We get me to 1,000, the world's going to change. It's going to change because I'm going to start to focus on this more, I guess. It's just too seductive being able to get on and talk to 1,000 people, you know? Blue Sea Hills, great to see you. Taking a break from drama. We don't need to worry about drama. Drama always takes care of itself. Just whoever's being dramatic, ignore them. It's not necessary. Everybody does their own thing here in ComicsGate. Dr. Crow, it's great to see you. It's also good to meet another doctor. My brother is a doctor. Doctors are great. Mitchell, great to see you. Mitchell's always cool. More Dr. Crow. So Aaron P., you can ask questions, but it sounds like you're bringing up something funny from the past. These guys do zombie stuff, so I like seeing other guys who do zombie stuff. I don't get to meet too many other zombie creators in ComicsGate. I don't know. I don't know why people don't do more zombie stuff.
I don't know. I get really annoyed when I constantly hear, man, there's so much zombie stuff. Why do we got more zombie stuff?
Where is it?
It's not true. Exactly. You know why? It's because there's a million zombie things out there, but 99% of them are so bad. Even the people who made it don't share it anymore. So that's why a lot of people think like, oh, give me 5 amazing. If there's that many zombie things out there, give me 5 outstanding, amazing zombie movies that came out in 2019. Just 5 of them. I dare you. You know, it's not out there.
You kind of can't.
No.
You kind of can't. Adam Post, baby. I like it. Commie Mark is one hell of an interesting guy. He's hard to miss. He spams the chat. Oh, yeah, he's a funny guy. He's got a great campaign. Nobody can remember the name of it, but he'll be back again.
Stuff in Korea.
Man of Lunacy is saying something he's talking about drama. Eric Hutfuls. He just got home. Oh, thank God. I was worried. Hey, you're supposed to stay in the house. There's a zombie apocalypse going on out there. Or it may as well be. Shinto, you say hi to him, but you don't say hi to me? What's the matter? What am I, zombie meat over here? Shadowhawk, how you been, man? How you been? Good to see you. Hope you are a man, because I just assume you are. You're very tough. Eddie Winkler's got a great book coming out called Sovereign Wolf, I believe. And if I'm remembering it wrong, then sorry about that. But we'll get you out here, and we'll talk more about it. Chandler D, always good to see you. All right, guys, that's really great that you guys are out there in the chat. We really appreciate it. I definitely think we need more zombie comics, and I love the competition. I love throwing down with you guys zombie style, and let's see who's got the more zombie-ish comic. But you guys have already published this comic before, right? Were there some floppies that you already did?
Yeah, issues 1 to 4.
Okay. So you already did issues 1 to 4. Is this a collection of issues 1 to 4?
Well, no, we published single floppy issues, issue 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Gotcha.
And we're about to release digital of issue 5. With Indiegogo, we're doing, since it is trickier to do the volumes, we are basically going to run the volume collecting issues 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 into one book. And
Gotcha.
we're running that through Indiegogo. But originally we ran the floppies through our own website, which was successful enough to where issues 1, 2, and 3, we did pre-orders, kind of like crowdfunding. And then with issue 4, we just used the money we brought in plus digital sales from issue 4 to keep in stock up until this point with Corona, because our first printer is shut down, but the new printer we're with now that we friggin' love, they're still rocking, so the volume's not going to be a problem.
Yeah, and just so everybody's listening, their printer, I think we were talking about this yesterday, Jim. You guys are using those quality guys that we really like, Mixam. Just top quality and quick turnaround, good prices, and none of us are doing, we're not selling Mixam over here, but we like them. Just so you guys know, it's going to be quality, everything these guys do.
Oh, I gotta say, we tested a couple, and the first time I received product from them, I was just blown away by how well they wrapped it. We actually received a shipment from another company where they just threw it in a box and then threw like some crumpled old paper in there, and we had a whole box. I think we ordered 1,000 in one go of issue 1, and a whole box, like 75 issues, were destroyed.
Oh,
I mean,
you know what?
Crushed.
That's why, Ronnie, what I always give people advice on this, I don't know if you've seen my series, Secrets of the ComicsGate Network. It's like 30 or so videos on a playlist here. One of the videos I talk about dealing with printers, and bottom line is you never go with a printer who doesn't do comics all the time and doesn't come well recommended, because who cares? Why do you got to teach a printer who does catalogs and brochures, how to make comic books? It's very high level stuff to be talking to them about, the format, the paper, the bindery, the packaging. As far as they're concerned, they're throwing catalogs in a box when they send us comics.
To be fair, though, the first printer that we went through that had that accident, to be fair, they were a comic heavy, or I think mostly they do comics, and they did quickly replace and say sorry, and we had no issues there. But I was kind of shocked how later on I did notice they started doing upgrades. So, but like I said, Mixam was just so much better for everything, so we're sticking with them, the quality, and I'm just way happier with them. One more thing before I forget, I absolutely love the tagline, tuition costs an arm and a leg.
Oh, hey,
I gotta
you're
say,
talking about College of the Dead.
Yeah.
Where tuition costs an arm and a leg. Yeah, that's
I got a kick out of that.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's I tried to make the project as special as possible, College of the Dead, and fortunately, it was really well received. And we're still working away at it. And thanks, man. I appreciate the compliment. And there was my friend Carlo Rowe, who publishes Deathsworn, had kind of encouraged me. He's like, get in there more and just get more B-movie, like think about Grindhouse stuff and do some research. So I kind of got on that path. I'm like, hey, what do you think of this, Carl? He's like, all right, that's pretty good. Use that. So yeah, that's the thing in ComicsGate, and welcome to ComicsGate, you guys. That's the thing about it, is we all help each other. We all want each other to succeed. I hope Doomsday Kingdom comic like blows away College of the Dead. I hope you guys blow away and hit like 6 figures on this, first thing out. You may or may not, who knows? You guys already have your own audience built in through your channel, but it's like we all want each other to succeed. We all want to use whatever talents we have to kind of help each other, and then kind of like as a group, as a network, we're all successful like that. So yeah, thank you for that compliment. I appreciate it.
Oh, no,
definitely. We gotta, we're gonna tonight be focused Doomsday, and we all just promote each other. We all make it work. So you guys have done that. By the way, your business model is really interesting. I've heard people do different things. In ComicsGate, typically what we're doing is, some of us have a YouTube following. I did not have much of a YouTube following. It's relatively small, mostly ComicsGate people, less than 1,000 subs. But you guys, you really developed a successful audience with your channel to be able to pre-order, sell books, and then deliver those books that way. Did you mail them all out yourself and did your own fulfillment as well?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Ronnie has the best fun when it comes to shipping stuff.
Yeah, because 80% of our customers were from the US. So I'm a one-man team here. James is a one-man team in the UK. So it was a daunt. I mean, it was a damn. I still have nightmares.
How many orders did you have to fill maximum by yourself?
I did every single order myself, and in total, we blew past 2,000 total orders, individual orders. But I don't know the numbers of how many. If we split, how many were mine, how many were James, how many were digital.
Sure. That's great, though. That's great. And how was the feedback? Yeah, let's do this. Let's talk about Doomsday Kingdom and what is Doomsday Kingdom? Give me the overall.
Well, hold on, my mic just started.
Sure.
Doomsday Kingdom is essentially, wow, that is so weird. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, take your time, man. I'm really excited to find out more about it.
All right,
I love that you guys are doing zombies too.
My mic, I think I need a new one. The wire's touchy. As soon as I hit it, everything shut down. But the idea with Doomsday Kingdom is, without giving too much away, it's an area within that world that has been crippled, and outside of that area, for an unknown amount of time, is still running just fine. So imagine it as if you're inside a zone that's completely fallen. Part of the tagline for the first few volumes is an injured character needs to do whatever he can to successfully get his friends, family, and loved ones out of this zone. And that's kind of a moniker in that world that was given to that area, because it was like Doomsday, but it was only for this, let's say this one state, just to give you an example. The breakdown happens in a small town, a coal mining town named Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. So the quarantine spreads out from there. So you have everyone chilling. And what's kind of creepy about it is the whole idea was a slow spread, because we always see these zombie stories where it's instant. It's the whole world. It's done. But I wanted to incorporate something where we can actually see characters that are in other states, a few states away, and we see the panic as they're watching the news where the government's telling them we got it under control, but it's slowly creeping closer to them and closer to them. So it is a bit different than, or at least I feel from what I've seen, a lot of other zombie stories out there. So that's the actual Doomsday Kingdom.
So this takes place on Earth.
Yeah.
And is it like present time? And is it just
a different reality? Yeah, they don't. We're going with the Night of the Living Dead idea, the Walking Dead idea, where in their world, zombie movies and the zombie never really existed.
Okay.
So I have a problem with when you're trying to get really serious. For me, sometimes it's a hit or miss when people actually use the word zombie in it. Like when it comes to Shaun of the Dead and other ones that are a little more laid back and fun. It's like I can be sucked right in there. But you know, if The Walking Dead, they were like zombie this, zombie that, and they knew about hitting in the head, and I don't know, it just doesn't have the same impact, I feel.
Yeah, it's a good point that if you you don't want to give them any of the zombie tropes as tools to deal with. Because it's a common reference to fiction. It's such a common reference to fiction that you don't get a sense that what you're reading is real. And you never want people to suspend disbelief. You always want them, you know, stuck in your story. You don't want them noticing the panel borders. You don't want them noticing the coloring. You want them to notice like what's in front of them and be deeply engaged in what you have. Engagement is so much a big part of storytelling. And that's why, like in my comic book panels, it's crazy straightforward, where it's just 6 panels per page on the interior. But you forget that the panels are there once you start reading, because the way the storytelling is designed, you just kind of get drawn in there. So it's very cool that you guys think about that. So this was part of the United States, roughly speaking, without giving away too much. I'm just trying to contextualize.
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay.
Yeah, you could definitely say that.
Cool. And then what happened is basically this area went to hell, and it's been blocked off from the rest of the world, from the rest of the country, from the rest of the world, right?
Yeah, well, we're not that deep story-wise. Like, if you got it and you read issue 1 to 4, we're still in the thick of things. But ever since the beginning, because there is a bit of a reveal and other stuff, especially with the end of volume 1, which is issue 5, you get a big chunk of info which hasn't been released yet. And then in volume 2, but ever since, you know, a year or 2 years ago, when we would have discussions as we're building up hype for the comic, I always let it be known that it doesn't hurt the story knowing going into it that this is a zone like that and outside the zone, because there's definitely some surprising, revealing moments to come. But yeah, if you want to see it as that, that's definitely right on the money.
Oh, that's very cool. Yeah, we're definitely not into spoilers. It makes it fun to kind of see what's up with it. I watched the trailer. I thought the trailer was pretty cool. Let's go ahead and play the trailer so we give people a chance to hear what it's all about. And then we'll talk a little bit more about comics and writing and stuff. All right, here we go.
Let's try this again, shall we? Now, I could waste my time and ask, who are you? But we both know that you'll say nobody. We all know that just isn't true. Everyone alive these days has become somebody. So I'm going to talk, and you're going to listen. Then you're going to talk, and I will listen. I didn't want to hurt your people. I want to protect mine, your restraints, and for our safety. We didn't attack you, just to make that clear. But it seems the mess you've gotten yourself into was of your own doing. To be honest, we liked what we saw. And well, here we are. So, tell me, the writer, who are you?
Interesting.
We got to give a shout out to one of the readers of the comic. Actually did some of the zombie growls back there. And James put that together, so I got to give a lot of the props to him as far as the visuals and stuff. I don't think I had any part in the visuals in that one.
Was that you speaking over it?
No, that was me. James put that together. 100%.
Oh, okay. Very cool, guys. It really brings you into it, and you kind of want to. The main thing with these trailers is you give them a taste of it, and then you want to have the viewer say, well, what's next? I really want to see what's next. You definitely get that vibe seeing like, well, what the heck's going to happen next? Can you say who that character is who's talking?
The one that's talking, he's called the Guardian. We don't have any name for it yet because we're not there as far as the reader when you get there, but he is in issue 1. He does a lot of he has a lot of dialogue in issue 1 where he's kind of interrogating and feeling out another character called the Rider. That's the Rider you see there with the mask.
Interesting. All right, so there's a lot more to this. Have you written comics before or any books before? Are you like a longtime comics fan?
Oh shit. Well, I haven't written. This is my first comic, but I'm not new when it comes to the writing aspect. I know I'll let James talk here in a second about art and what he's been into, because that is a bit different. But I started originally wanting to write screenplays, and if I can go through this just real quick.
Take your time. Go ahead, buddy.
I played Resident Evil as a kid, the very first one on PlayStation 1. And that was the moment where I was like, yo, the zombie like franchise broke me. And I was like, I want to be able to tell a story. But my thing was, I wanted a zombie story that made you cry, that was emotional, that really, because I never really got sucked in with the characters. I mean, some of them just felt one-dimensional, and it seemed like we all have fun with the zombie gore, but there wasn't enough to really sink your teeth into. So Doomsday Kingdom started way, way back when I was doing this part of the story. Then maybe I changed characters, and the lead now, it wasn't even a lead. He was one of the side characters long, long ago. And that morphed into a one movie, one screenplay, then 3 screenplays, then it was going to be 5. Then it was like, no, this has to be a novel. No one's going to buy this off me, you know? So it was going to be a novel, and I was going hard at it. It was going to be like this big, amazing. I was in love with it. It was my passion project for years. And then my buddy came over. He's like, yo, dude, you got to watch his new show. And this is like 2010, where I'm fully locked into this story and all that. And here it's The Walking Dead. So I watched The Walking Dead, and after a season or 2, I just said, wow, I don't have to write my story anymore. You know, this is emotional. This is gripping. This is what people want. So I gave up, and then I started reviewing The Walking Dead on YouTube. And I just mentioned, I don't even remember how it came up. I just mentioned I wrote an old zombie story, and then one person asked about it. I talked about it. 10 people asked about it. I talked about it. 100 people asked. And it literally grew from there, where it was like, well, maybe we'll put this out as a novel. So we were looking for artists to do maybe a cover panel. I was trying to work with someone I had known in life, real life, but I grew up with, but he wasn't going to be able to actually work on the project to do the art. And then James popped up. We became friends because he heard me talking about it on YouTube. And one day we just said, screw it. Let's do this. Let's put this out. And here we are today.
That's very cool.
But as far as background, I did a lot of training, taking courses with screenwriting primarily. So the comic, when you write the screenplays in a comic, it's a lot easier because screenwriting format for movies, you got to do it right, or you fail right away. So I don't know. It's 2 different worlds, but I feel like writing for the comics, it's a little more laid back.
Yeah, writing for screenplays. We have people that have screenplay training in ComicsGate, like Von Klaus. He's written screenplays. He was trained. Also, Adam Friend did, just off the top of my head. And they're very people who've written screenplays are very knowledgeable about story and characterization. And we always need good writing in comics and ComicsGate too. There's a lot of great artists. It's tough to do everything yourself. So it's great you've got an artist that you work with who you're happy with, and it's very cool that it kind of the project kind of grows out of your YouTube relationship with people encouraging you and kind of asking you in the chat. I mean, that's why it's like always like hail the chat. The chat is awesome because it makes things happen.
Oh, absolutely.
Jim, how did you get sucked into doing zombies?
Yeah, so I say I'll go into a shortened version if possible, because I like to ramble on when it comes to talking about stuff.
Do your thing, brother. Do your thing.
As Ronnie was saying, I came across Ronnie first of all through YouTube. So that's like one unconventional way of landing a long-term comic gig, because I've dabbled in and out of doing mini comics and trying to get projects lifted off the ground back in the day. But this was like, I don't know, like 5 years ago, where I was no way in a position to actually want to put myself out there and say, oh, I'm actually a comic book artist, because my artwork back then was like so terribly bad that even the writers wouldn't even say anything, because they were also new into it as well. And we're like, oh, we're just basically dragging along a turd kind of thing to try and see if we can get some interest. But it was like, so I basically had this curse where I wouldn't get past page 3. Because it would be like, well, the first couple of pages is like finding your feet, trying to come up with like concepts and stuff. But when it comes to zombie comics, the very first, well, I say the last professional thing that was going to happen was actually a zombie comic, and the working title for that was Pie of the Dead.
Pie of the Dead.
Yeah, like its full name was going to be called Botulism. I have no idea. This was a writer from Liverpool, who I met him from playing like Mario Kart on Nintendo DS. Like we'd do like the online things, like, and for some reason we'd like share emails somehow. I can't remember if the Nintendo DS had like voice chat functions or whatever, or you'd send a message to someone. But he mentioned that he wanted to do like a zombie comic, and it was all about food being like the main thing that would cause like the zombie virus.
Sure. Now what do you do on the art? You do pencils and inks, and do you color as well?
Yeah, everything.
Okay.
In the kitchen sink.
And the letters.
Lettering, I'll let Ronnie do that just so he's got something else to do.
Okay. Yeah, keep him busy.
We'll both like collaborate on the like special effects and stuff like that, because I think the way I've done the SFX in here is quite unique, where I'm trying to make it fit as much as possible with the artwork itself. So obviously, like in mainstream comics or pretty much most comics, you'll have like, if it's an explosion, it'll obviously be something that looks like it will fit an explosion scene. But what I've tried doing is keeping color schemes. So if there was, for example, in issue 1, where there's like rider scenes, whenever there's like a sound effects that pertains to that character, it will have his color scheme on it. Or if it's something to do with like a zombie, I'll incorporate like blood and guts in the SFX.
Special effects
to make it fit more, because I'm of the opinion where I don't want it to stand out way too much that it gets in the way of the artwork itself. So like I like the idea of it blending together. So
there's a lot of people that are excited about the project already, and I don't know if these are zombie nuts or they just love you guys, or maybe they love me. But yeah, Stephen Kelly did the right. Stephen Kelly, he's in the UK. He's a great guy. Or Kitely, excuse me. Stephen, your art book actually is on the way to you, brother. You'll be surprised. It's going to come sooner than you thought it was going to come. You ordered one of our art books from College of the Dead. And it's coming by itself, so don't be shocked. But anyway, I just ruined the surprise. Send it ahead of time. People are talking about the cover art. They're talking about the interior art. People are definitely really interested. And the thing of it is, artists, of course, have different styles. But people know when you care about your work, they can see the attention that you put into it, even if styles are very different. Like the original Walking Dead comic, when you compare the first 4 issues with then what Charlie Adlard did, Tony Moore versus Charlie Adlard, very different styles.
Oh, yeah.
But both guys obviously really cared about what the hell they were doing. So you guys, now the chat asked me a couple times. I know I talked to you guys about this before. You're aware of what ComicsGate is, and you're down with ComicsGate. This is just kind of your first ComicsGate show.
Yeah.
Now, so you guys, was it you, Jim, who are a fan of Ethan's for a long time since you're a teenager?
Yeah. Well, I don't want to embarrass him if he ever sees this, but
you can embarrass away.
The comics out of reach behind me. I've been aware of Ethan a long time when I was reading comics as like a teenager, because back then it wouldn't matter who the artist was specifically. It was more like, I like Batman or like Superman. I was quite a DC fanboy back in the day. And then coming across the whole ComicsGate as like I mentioned this in our chats, but it's basically, we've always been of this philosophy where, treat the customers with respect. Don't put any of your own like religious beliefs or political agendas or stuff like that in the comic, unless there's a way to put it in that doesn't override the main intent, which is to make a fun story.
You can have any. It's so crazy that what they've been trying to do, the social justice wars, because you can have any character of any race, creed, age, whatever. We're all human beings. So if you tell a human story, it'll be relatable. So if you want to tell a human story of someone who's poor or rich or confused or a victim or a victimizer or whatever it is, we can all kind of see something there. We can all get something out of that story if it's done properly, if it's done well. And Ronnie, you're also a comics nut, aren't you?
Oh yeah.
Have you been collecting comics like kind of forever?
No, actually, as far as collecting, no, but reading, yeah. And I'm talking all the way back when I was a little kid at the grocery store, when my mom would go into the Acme and she would park me in front of the stand, and I would just read X-Men, Punisher, Spider-Man. And it's funny because there's so many comics out back then, and what actually ripped me out of it was just the cost of having to grab everything, go from here to there because they're doing an event and you got to get this and that. And I just couldn't keep up with it. It was all over the place. So I always kept my eye on certain characters I liked. Like the Punisher was one of my favorites. I know Spider-Man was a big deal. Spawn, when McFarlane Toys, not McFarlane Toys, Todd McFarlane came out with Spawn. My brother was into art and he loved McFarlane. And I remember he drug us to the mall. And this is when Spawn was first coming out. And I see this huge line and it's madness. And my brother's older than me. And I'm like, what is going on? And then it wasn't until later I found out it's because everyone was buying Spawn, So
holy cow.
It was crazy.
Yeah, they sold a lot of comics. He sold a lot of comics. And
so,
of course, now he's got a big campaign now with bringing his toy back.
Yeah. I just messaged my brother too. I said, yo, you getting that classic Spawn? Because McFarlane's real cool. I reviewed one of his Spawn figures, and I had mentioned, I was like, you know what? I hate to be that guy. I never bother anyone who I talk to as far as company wise. I was like, is there some way I can wiggle a signed Spawn from? And he did it. He was like, not a problem. He signed a Spawn and sent it out to me to give to my brother. I was like, yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah, he's definitely cool. But as far as what drew me back was The Walking Dead. Let me think. There was also Southern Bastards was a story that, oddly enough, I really like gritty, realistic stories, even in comics. And I know it's hard and rare to find because there's a ton of superhero and stuff like that. But I really do like Southern Bastards. Is just a what would you call it? Just a crime. It's about a small town that has it's overrun by this coach that is basically like a little hoodlum. He has his own little crime thing. And I don't want to say anything because I think the first volume, if you want get the first volume. Oh, it's amazing. I love that story. Anyhow, it was The Walking Dead. It really brought me back. And I'm really focusing on up and coming and indie comics, or I should call it creator owned, from Image. DC and Marvel, I kind of lost flavor. I'll be the first to admit it. It's been a while. I bought Batman Damned. Other than that, I can't really remember much because I just lost flavor for them.
As you guys get more and more involved in ComicsGate, you'll see there are an incredible number of really interesting creative projects, and most of the projects we have are projects that people have been working on for years and years, and they just couldn't get done until ComicsGate came around. Because ComicsGate, of course, stands for producing great comics and stories, but it's also a network of people that, we're out producing our own stuff. Like I'm producing College of Dead, but we're out to support other people too that are trying to do that same thing. So we act as like a force multiplier. So the biggest channel is Comic Artist Pro Secrets, but below Ethan, there are plenty of channels. There's a lot of other channels that people go on. Now, as far as ComicsGate and you, Ronnie, you got a little familiar with ComicsGate, or just starting to kind of learn what it's about?
Well, what's funny is I don't know how to, because I'm all new and I've never reached out to talk to anybody, but
sure.
I've been here for the whole ride, me and James, just like everyone, from watching Ethan Van Sciver doing, before I even knew he was into comics, watching him shred Star Wars, bro. He had me dying. He had me dying. I'm like, who is this nutbag? I gotta subscribe to him.
Yeah, he's entertaining as
Yo,
hell.
he's funny as shit, you know. So he's got me dying. And I was watching Zach. We're talking way back, and the whole process through. I don't know when. I'll be real with you. I don't know when ComicsGate, you know, when it was officially labeled and announced and when it caught fire, but all the way back to the milkshake, you know, the fiasco. I've been listening along, kind of lingering in the shadows as much as possible because, man, ComicsGate, I tell you what, you guys love to live stream like crazy. Everyone's got 5 hour
live streaming.
Yeah. Everyone's got 5
there's
hour
guys
streams.
like and what's funny is like when I started getting involved, I was like, how do these guys do this? And then I got on one live stream and I was like, all right, it's too much for me. I can't do this. And then as time went on, you know, there I am. Zach is launching the Expendables. He wasn't even there, but we were launching the Expendables for him on Ethan's channel, and I was on like 9 hours. You know, it's just like boom, you're on there, and it's like what 1 hour, 2 hours, 5 hours doesn't make a difference, especially if you're with like 5 people. If Cecil's one of them, you know, it doesn't matter how long it goes. Raging Golden Eagle, he's got a great channel. He just launched his book, Blade Devil. He did a 24-hour live stream launching Blade Devil.
Yeah.
All of us were on
that was like it looks heavily inspired by like JRPG style games. If we're talking about the same one.
He loves manga. He loves all that stuff. He's like really carved into that niche, and his audience loves him. He's got like 63,000 subs or something like that, and he's going to be doing more comics. And it's just great to see people do these passion projects like this. And I think you're going to like these guys. There's a lot of really creative people, great YouTube presence, great projects. So it's great to be able to kind of network or whatnot. And we definitely have this zombie thing in common. So now this is the sign up for Doomsday Kingdom comic. I'm going to make sure I post the link again. It's also in the description. If you sign up to Doomsday Kingdom through the launch, you're going to get an extra exclusive trading card free when you order, right?
Yep.
That you only get from the sign up. And you guys already have signups from, you have an email list that you're successful with. You already have signups on this for this project through Indiegogo as well. So you're going to be launching, it looks like in a couple of weeks. So you're not 100% sure yet, or what do you what's your thinking on that?
As soon as I finish the interior for issue 5, which is like 10 pages, that's when we'll look into launching the thing.
I love that approach. You know, with me, I brag about how I can ship on time, and I hear myself sometimes, and I'm like, all right, shut up already with that. But I'm like, you know what? All my stuff is done. You know, so it's all done. Pencils, inks, colors, letters. All the files are done. I'm getting the packaged InDesign files this week, so we can send exports for test prints, whatever that all means. But yeah, my stuff's done. So by the time I'm launching it, I've got that stuff in hand. So one of the things I don't have to worry about is, oh, damn, you know, we have to get these last couple of changes done and rush things out while you're promoting things and things like that. So you guys are you going to have the whole thing done by the time you launch, or almost done?
A lot of it.
Yeah, so ideally I'll have the interior pages finished, which if
get
people
it done,
see, if it's, well, it's a,
get it done or I'm going to knock your fan over.
It's a detail over time thing. Issue 5, like I'm sure Ronnie can attest to it, my artwork has gotten insanely more detailed than even issue 4, which I thought I'd hit like a peak of like how much effort, well, not effort, but how much detail I could put into it.
Yeah.
And then issue 5, I think a lot of EVS is like indirectly been influenced even more so. Just because, as I was mentioning before, like I was literally going through like my comic stashes. I've been moving around a lot, so I've not had a house where I've been able to display them, so I've forgotten what I had. And then because I really fell in love with like EVS art again, I realized after purchasing them all again on eBay and stuff that I had most of the books. So these weren't just specific books that he had done, like Flash Rebirth and Green Lantern Rebirth. It was like one shots or like small issue runs of Hawkman, which I'd found like months later after buying on eBay. So I think, and then watching his like comic draw videos, because I just like watching obviously artists draw anyway while I'm drawing as well. So
I think a lot of that's bled into it, and so it's just a time concern thing. As like,
Yeah.
but as soon as
Well-
basically the idea is get the interior finished for issue 5, because then
Yeah,
I mean
because
most
you
of the
know
books
what?
are ready to go.
Because you know what you want to think about is you don't have to have like every last bit of every detail done. As much as possible is great, but at the same point, if you know, let's say you're going to launch on just for approximating, May 1st. So if you were to launch on May 1st, you know that you would run normally 30 days on an Indiegogo campaign, then get kind of close to the end, and then on the last day, usually we all extend another 30 days. And then after that, the campaign ends, and then you can stay in demand for as long as you're comfortable. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the in-demand store, but the way that functions is after the campaign ends, people can still back your project, and then you'll get paid once a month from Indiegogo, and you can continue to process orders. So it kind of functions as a web store, and it gives you a presence on Indiegogo, and you keep that open, until the end of time, or as long as you like, So that functions pretty well. But if you look at the math, it gives you, 2 months roughly of campaign time from whenever you launch. And then in that campaign time, if you're finishing the book in any way, whatever other details need to get done, ideally you could ship, immediately when the campaign ends. So you would look at like maybe 10 weeks out, 12 weeks out to ship from when you launch. So you want to keep those cycles in mind. There are people that will say things like, well, we're going to ship in April of 2021 and they're running the campaign now. It's good to not, overpromise so that you're going to be shipping, much later than promised. You want to ship on time. But at the same point, like realistically, if somebody buys something from you this year, it would be nice to be able to deliver to them this year, So not every project works that way, but that's just my, advice, having seen a lot of projects. It's great to be able to deliver the project. The other thing it puts us in a great position for is the sequels. So once you've delivered on your current book, then you can kind of come back, offer a sequel and say, hey, remember that book you just got last month? Well, here's the next one. And then ideally you keep them coming out. That's the thing I'm sure you saw, Ronnie, as you're getting into writing these stories, like these worlds are enormous, and when it comes to zombies, like a day in the life of a cast member of a group of casts, excuse me, in a zombie world, it could be 100 pages. Just one day or 2 days. Like it's not without it, because it's just so much drama. There's so much interaction. There's so much going on, right? I'm sure you could never run out of stories to tell, right, Ronnie?
Oh, I feel like we have, just because of where it originated from, a lot. I know anyone who's, just to give you a little idea, anyone who's new to the idea, and again, this is something that it might have been too risky, where other writers would have been like, yo, Ronnie, you're an idiot. Don't do that. Issue 1 starts off at an unknown point far into the future. We have a guy wearing an awesome looking leather outfit and a half mask. He's called the Rider, and he's dragging around a prisoner that's got a bag over his head. We don't know the identity of the Rider. We don't know the identity of the prisoner. And he drags the prisoner out to a post that's buried in the ground, and he chains him up, and he said, listen, what you did brought you here. Same for me. And the last things you're going to hear are your own screams as you're eaten alive. And then he just walks back to watch the prisoner get eaten alive by the zombies that are coming out of the woods. That's why issue 1 and volume 1 is called The Feeding Post. And part of the pitch was when I wrote a preview, when it was in a novel form, and this went out on Facebook and on social media, part of the pitch was that Rider who just sentenced that dude to one of the most horrific deaths. Yeah, that's your hero. So get ready for it. It's not what you think it is. And from that point in time, we flash back now all the way back to right around or roughly around when Outbreak Day happens. So we're with characters we're not really sure who's who, and then we go back in time, and then we're gonna catch up. We're not catching up in the first volume. We're not catching up in the second volume. Right from the beginning, I promised people that this is a big chunk of story. And for me personally, I do get a little frustrated when we're constantly getting 3-issue mini stories, and I'm talking about when Image Comics would be releasing these new titles that it would pique your interest, and then you find out it's only 4 issues long. It's only 3 issues. It's only 6 issues. And for me, that was a no-go. This is going to be something where I'm telling you up front, it's a long story, so prepare for it. We're ready to do whatever we can to bring it out. And within issue 1, the reason why we jumped ahead is issue 1 is a special moment, isn't it? It's the issue that everyone collects. It's usually the issue that has the lowest print run, so it's harder to find later on, and yada, 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 especially if the next issues get really popular. But
Sure.
outside of issue 1 being just issue 1, that's the only really thing that it has going for it, is it's just issue 1. So knowing that ahead of time, I decided to put key elements in the story, like the feeding post. There's a grave marker. There's a house. There's going to be people called the Skull Men. There's the Guardians. A lot of these different elements. Maybe in 5 issues, we'll see something from issue 1, the origin of things from issue 1. Maybe in 10 issues, and then 20, and then 30. So that way, issue 1 isn't just the first issue. It doesn't just have value because it's the first issue, but in a way, as the story unfolds, because of the way it's structured, you get to revisit some of those moments from issue 1 and kind of see the origin of it, the origin of the whole area that brought everyone there. For me, that was something. Now, for a lot of people, that you're probably like, I don't care. Just give me a story. For me, that's something like, just trust me.
Your
I see
job
how
is
it's laid out.
You got to structure this whole thing. So it's like,
Yeah, like
he's paying attention to this stuff. It's very good.
I feel like, just trust me, guys. I feel like when we hit those notes, I'm telling you what, I think you're going to really like it. Because obviously I can't say it, because then you'll be ruined down the line. But just trust me, I spent hours and hours on end. I took a big parchment piece of paper and I plotted out, 40 issues to 50 issues just to make sure I would hit those notes. So that way, when the story's unfolding, emotionally, you'll get those callbacks to the moment, and it won't just be forced in there because member berries. You know what I mean? So
Excellent.
I didn't want to keep rambling, but
no, man. I didn't. Look, I'm good at interrupting people. I interrupt like a mother effer, but not when someone's on track with what they're saying and it's interesting as hell. I like the structure. I like the disciplined approach to it. It's very cool that what happens in issue 1 is going to have payoffs like for years. It sounds like
it will in our time.
Yeah, and to have a hero who's kind of that, like the Punisher. They're sort of like an evil hero, but an anti-hero type. So it's like, because you don't really. But the thing of it is good and evil. It all depends. It's all in context. It's not. What is he supposed to do? I'm going to call the police on you. It doesn't sound like they're going to answer. It doesn't sound like they have, a lot of great communications or government structure. It's sort of, they've built whatever they've built, and they live any way that they live, and they have to kind of find their ways to survive. And there has to be justice, and it's got to be relative to what that society is. So, but when you really think those things through extensively, you set up a really cool, unique world. One of the things that's missing tremendously from comics is when I was a teenager loving comics, and that was like the last era of it, was very careful continuity, where people would think about what's going to happen 5 and 10 years from now, but they would make sure in the immediate short term, everything kind of made sense. If these characters were supposed to be in New York, they would be in New York. When they were in, not in California at the same time, there wouldn't be a character in space who was supposed to be in Texas somewhere simultaneously. Like, editors would think about that kind of stuff. Jim Shooter, editor-in-chief particularly. And that kind of discipline was brought over from, the old guys that were first figuring out, okay, how are we going to make it so it's compelling and extra interesting and unique to tell comic stories in, this universe format, in this a really rich continuity format that you can't get in television. You know, when you have a television show and then one character appears from another television show, it used to be like, oh my God, that's a miracle. How could that ever happen? Well, that happened all the time in comics, and to the point where they've now got the cinematic universe from Marvel. They're probably going to ruin it, as we know. But you know, they have the cinematic universe from Marvel. They couldn't even conceive of doing something like that if it wasn't for comic books. Wow, look at that cover.
Oh, that's one of my favorites.
That's your work.
That's all me, 100%. I sketched it. I inked it. I am lying out my ass. I wish I
logo
did
as
that.
well.
No, even he did the logo.
Yeah. So I wanted to, obviously the Indiegogo sign up page is just a teaser, but I wanted to show a couple of pages as talking to relevant points. So like obviously we've been releasing a single, so this is issue 5's cover, which we're introducing psychotic clowns into our world of creeps.
Clowns.
I don't know if Ronnie wants to talk about like what makes our zombie stuff a bit more unique, or unless we're going to save that for like the campaign page. I'm not sure.
Well, I do know we already have you know, some readers out there, and they already got a taste of it. We've already did a commentary, but peep this, zombie fans. All right, we do have right now, as the reader, you'll see 2 stages of zombie. You're going to see one that we class as the stalkers, and you'll see the second stage, which is called the creeps. Now that's between me and the artist. That way, when it's in the script, he knows which version, because the stalkers and the creeps, sometimes they're going to look different. The creeps will have clouded eyes. The stalkers won't always. But anyway, towards the end of issue 2, we do see someone coming up that we perceive to be a zombie, and he actually says, "Help me." And then a character is attacked, and this intruder is enraged, and the character feels that his heart is beating out of his chest. So we will have stage 1 where they do have a heartbeat. They will stop and drink water. They will they do feel, there's something I want to say, but
don't say it. Don't say it.
Yeah. Within the story, you will get reveals throughout, I think, the first few issues for sure, because each one shows a little more. We even put a little homage in there to, Night of the Living Dead, how the zombies actually used weapons and shit. I'm against in The Walking Dead, I'm against the zombies using rocks when they're banging on the glass, but they did that because they did it in Night of the Living Dead. Well, in utilizing these 2 different stages, as far as right now, we are able to have that homage where they do use weapons, they do different things, and I think you'll be really surprised where the final payoff is down the line. You're going to get some things like in issue 2, you get hints, 3, and actually I think you get 2, 3, 4, and 5. You get hints of what's going on, where you're thinking it's a zombie, but we're slowly revealing the rules behind the stage 1, and it plays out all the way into volume 2 in a really fun way. So that way you have something that is you know what? I'm just gonna have to hold that one back. But there's 2
it just creates
more
scenes of tension, really.
Can you answer this question from Hex?
Yeah.
Do they feel pain?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
There's a part of that aspect that calls back to an old zombie movie that a lot of people probably like. But there's also a part that when I wrote it, I even got the chills. I'm like, yo, zombie fans are going to fucking love this part.
That's very cool.
This part,
Yeah.
But I promise we will get to that really, really soon. I know that particular part, I couldn't force it early in. It's in volume 2. I know when it's coming. So as soon as, depending on our success with volume 1, see how quickly we can bang out volume 2. I am so eager. Volume 2 is where, I don't know, man. The excitement is like reborn again, because there is a lot of setup, and it's sometimes for a writer, it's really tedious to make sure you got your ducks in a row, and then you can have fun, because now that you set it up, now you can start messing with people as far as putting characters in danger or getting into some of the action, or if you're putting in a little romance, kind of teasing the shipping community out there. Volume
Ronnie,
2.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, it's you got me excited for it. It sounds like it's a very cool. Volume 1 is like the foundation, and then Volume 2 you can go nuts.
Yeah. To answer Spin in the chat, yeah, I don't want to confuse any new readers. Stage 1 is, for us, we call them the Weepers or Stalkers. Either one works. That's just so we know behind the scenes. But again, when you guys read them, you can call them whatever. But yeah, they're still called Weepers. You have the Weepers and Creepers. But again, I don't want to confuse anyone, so I just wanted to use one term. But yeah,
and we haven't really done a lot of specific zombie scenes yet as well. So obviously, over time, you'll get more used and more excited about what makes different stages fun to play with in the story as well.
That's very cool. And Jim, do you do any other art or just the zombie project?
So I work as an illustrator for a fashion company. So
cool.
That's kind of like the roundabout way in which I progressed into comics. It's pretty much like everything I've done in my life has led to different moments, and I feel like the comic place is where I want to be. So like I said, I got really excited. Like I was just some nobody on leaving a comment on Ronnie's YouTube, just offering to help out, because like I say, he was and ahhing between was it going to be a screenplay, was it going to be films, was it going to be novels, and I got into it when he was talking about it being a novel but not quite sure whether or not to publish it. So he would do videos like talking about it to get the interest up, and because of The Walking Dead becoming so successful, it was kind of like taking the idea away from doing a comic until people started really liking what Ronnie was putting out, and me being one of them. So he had like set up a page where he had posted some early chapters when it was still a novel, and I just wanted to do something visual. And I can admit back then, even my artwork then wasn't that great. And then basically our relationship was like a year long before we even started being public about stuff, because we had like issues with copyright claiming and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, like I always cringe when I see my artwork because of the time in between each issue. Is like I'm always getting better. So you got issue 1, which a lot of people like the stuff there. It's classic in the terms of story, but from an artistic point, I'm always like trying to go back in time, like to redo pages. So like every issue gets more and more.
Yeah, there's more work.
I'm more comfortable with like artwork and stuff in general, but yeah, like I've always been into the drawing. Like I was always drawing like South Park comics when I was a kid, writing silly stories with my sister because we wasn't allowed to watch South Park on TV. So we had no idea what these characters were except for what they looked like. So we would just like do random comics, and pretty much everyone in my family has some kind of artistic thing. Like my dad is, well, when he was younger, he was really into doing realistic pencil renderings of like birds because he used to like bird watch all the time. And then my sister studied art in school and stuff, but I never took it professionally. I failed out of school, and then I had like a day where I had to decide what I wanted to do for college, and I ended up being a chef. And then somehow that led into being a photographer. And then with the same company doing like illustration work, and then that led into me wanting to do more with being able to draw and stuff. So that's when I looked back at the projects that I'd done earlier, which were so terrible. It's like some of it exists online.
Well, your work now is good, and we're not going to hunt down your embarrassing stuff from online like they did to me with my first comic. My first comic was G.I. Jackrabbits when I was a kid. We had a great cover artist, 2 great pages of art. I'm not an artist. I wrote it, and then he couldn't finish the rest of it. He just took forever, so we hired these other artists, and the artwork wasn't good. So we're redoing all of it now because it's great to go back to the early passion projects. Justin is curious about CG. You got your hail. But we did talk about this. UK. We did talk about this earlier, Justin. That Ronnie's been watching your boys' accents forever, and Ethan even before. Anyway, so yes, they're down with CG. They're a little new at CG, in terms of getting on shows. This has been their first CG show. It was ComicsGate World that introduced us. These guys seem like great create. Oh, there's CG World Order.
So I've supported ComicsGate books, like I've supported Cyberfrog 1 and 2.
Here's the big
and
thing
then-
with CG, as a network. The CG as a network basically does this. And it's funny because the customers are kind of very into the vibe, even if they're not publishing comics themselves. Everybody supports each other. Everybody helps each other. So, hearing you guys are CG, you guys do a zombie book, there's no better first channel to jump on than my channel for sure. I have a list of other channels I'm going to recommend you guys to. Good people that I know, cool people. Doesn't mean they'll have you on when they have time. A lot of guys are very open about doing that. There's going to be people that want to be on your channel. I guarantee you that, Ronnie, when you're ready to do that. And have you seen my trailer for College of the Dead? You see my stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like it, right? I'm scared to ask live, but
I'm a proud backer of the book.
I thought you were. I didn't want to cut you off, James. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
We always cut James off. We're gonna never stop.
I was of the same mindset as Adam, where it was like, I love all the stuff that's coming out of ComicsGate, but obviously with terms of money, like I wish I could buy them all. But what I was really looking for was like other zombie comics, and then that's how I came across Adam Post, and then watching his Indiegogo series. So like I've backed that. I can't wait till that comes, and I really want to get the first one somehow. I just can't remember.
Yeah, the first one you can get the first one. Oh, for College of the Dead. I'll set. You already backed the second one.
Yeah,
I'll send you a link because there you can get it with no extra shipping. But yeah, okay, cool. The first one is still available. We could take more money from Jim. All right, Ronnie, you can compliment my trailer.
Oh, really? I was gonna go in the opposite direction. No, I'm kidding.
No, please don't do that.
The one thing I will say.
Yeah,
I actually ran outside it and I did a cartwheel when I realized the second one was in color. I don't want to bring that up, but I'm so happy.
Thank you, man.
I think it pops, man. I love it. I was especially when you see the image and then you went in. I'm not really sure what made you decide to. Was it like a print thing? Was it a look thing? Like, Night of the Living Dead was in black and white. That's why Walking Dead did it. Was it something along the lines of that? Or
yeah,
I don't think I've heard you say.
When I first thought about like why did it start in black and white, I just conceived of it of being black and white. I mean, to me, it was like I like Zombie World. I like the idea of like really human characters that exist in a very finite, understood zombie world. To me, the zombie world's a war zone. Why haven't I seen a cast of college student characters in a zombie war zone situation? Like, why has that not been done yet? So I started working on it, and I worked on it with Stefan Petruka, who did the scripting, and my role is to work with him and then to work with the artist and kind of co-create and manage the whole project. And it was like the only thing I felt was really missing wasn't really color. When I conceived the project, the thing was missing was, where are the college students? Why is this not happening on a college campus? Because I'd never seen it done before. There was High School of the Dead, and that's fine. It started on a high school campus, but there's so much you can do on a college campus, and you would think that like college students would be kind of like the core audience for something like this. So why would you not do that?
Yeah.
So then we did it, and the reception was good, but then. I'd been on Ethan's show. I've been really well received by people with the first book, and I appreciated that. But I was like, you know what? I kind of want to do color because let me see if we can make it work, even though it was already designed for black and white. And the color came out great.
I think it's awesome.
Isn't it neat? Thanks, man.
If you can always make artwork look good in black and white, the color is just going to make it 10 times as good.
Yeah. I mean, there are things that really look good in black and white, but with the right color. It becomes a little bit magic, but I love my trailer. Let me just play my trailer before we wrap it, brothers. See if the audio works.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, guys.
That music.
Yeah, College of the Dead, baby.
Hell
Yeah. I like that trailer though. I do, and that tagline is it fits the tone perfectly.
Where college costs you an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
Yep. I put the link in the chat for College of the Dead. It's at collegeofthedead.com. It redirects you right to the Indiegogo campaign, and these will be shipping June 2020. This June, and it's easy for me to say that because the whole thing's done. It's an incredible advantage to get stuff done in advance.
Oh,
But
yeah.
we always really got to make sure that we're signed up for Doomsday Kingdom. This seems like it's going to be really cool. You guys are great creators. I hope you get to meet a lot more of the ComicsGate guys. I'm going to definitely recommend guys to you. I'm going to give you a list. I have to check it twice and remember who's naughty and nice.
Yeah.
But there's about 20 guys on there, and if it's small, you'll see from the list it has the size of subs and whatnot. And I'm
Mhm.
sure some of the names you'll know already. They're cool. You can definitely tell any of them you're already on my channel. But guys, make sure you're signed up for this project. This is going to be a great project. I'm going to have you on again when you guys actually do launch.
Awesome.
And like I tell people too, like we're all in this together. So I was asking Jim about some of your tiers that you're planning and prices and things like that. But you can bounce ideas off me anytime or ask any questions. We all try to help each other be successful. The number one suggestion is just be careful on the goal initially. You already have a big audience, so you're gonna do okay with your goal. But I've seen guys like get a little outside a realistic range. But in your guys' case, you're going to do just fine with the audience you have, and you've already made books. You're almost done with this project. And make sure to let people know how close to finished you are too. And yeah, go ahead, man.
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, as far as that's something I wanted to let anyone new know that we have successfully fulfilled, over 2,000 individual orders on our own website. We're not just popping up here and going, we just, started this, last week. But and the goal and our projections, we're definitely keeping them really reasonable because we're not really sure right now what part of the audience that we've already tapped into wants to stick with floppy, and then what part wants to do floppy and volume, or what part has been waiting for volume, because we've gotten a lot of requests.
For
they want
collection.
they read it digital, but they want the volume for the collection, not so much to floppy. So I'm actually kind of curious to see how that's going to play out, but I think we're keeping
great.
a level head on it.
People have been buying it. People who you've been subbing to your channel, they want to buy. They want to buy what you have. They ideally, of course, they want to buy a complete volume so they can kind of get a big story all at once. But they want to support you. So it's like, how do I support you? That's really what you find out when you start doing this. And I definitely think it'll be a good idea for you to get on a few more of these YouTube channels, another 5, 6 or so, do some more interviews prior to launch, just to build up that launch list, but also to get the vibe of what buyers are talking about, what people are looking for. And you'll get some incredible advice from the ComicsGate chats. These guys are amazing. I'm going to be jumping on Drew Love's channel, I think, in a little while too. You guys, thanks for coming and spending the time with us. Doomsday Kingdom comic. Guys, make sure you signed up for it, and let's launch these guys. Let's get a lot more great guys like these guys in ComicsGate that obviously sound like they know what they're doing. They've got a book nearly complete. A couple more projects like this. Keep moving ComicsGate to the next level. All right, guys, have a great night. Thanks for getting in touch, and we will see you again. There you go. CG, is it Mary Boyce Carl? Hail CG, hail Adam. Oh, you want to give Justin a hail? He's dying for a hail.
Hail ComicsGate, motherfucker.
All right, that's how it goes. Night, everybody. Be good.
Good night.
Adam.
Yeah, thank